Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland for Hip Kit Club, and today I am using the May kits. So I have the main kit, the embellishment kit, the pocket life kit and the colour kit too, and I'm playing along with this week's sketch challenge, which is this one here. Looking at this sketch challenge, I interpreted the sketch as with the blue background being a pattern paper background. Not everyone will interpret it in the same way. It certainly doesn't mean that it has to be pattern paper, but that's what I decided to go for. And I was really keen to use the Vicki Boutin starburst paper, but when I looked at it as a whole sheet, I was like, whoa, I'm not sure I could pull that off. So I decided to chop a bit off and have a gap. So I'm making a strip at the bottom, which is actually a piece of the Vicki Boutin paper turned over, and sticking that along the bottom to represent the piece at the bottom of the sketch. And then the top part of the sketch is going to be represented by the starburst, and I'm kind of aiming for the line where my pattern paper is to be the bottom of my photos. So I have, you can see what I'm doing here. I've cut apart all of the triangles or the starbursts on the Vicki Boutin paper, and I've distressed the edges of all of them, and I'm just sticking them back into position. So I'm sticking them back. I kept them in order when I cut them up so that I didn't get confused or muddled, but I started by sticking the corner one. Because you have two pieces of the corner, you have a right angle, it's really easy to get that one exactly right and in place. So I started with there, and then I went round to the right and stuck the ones onto the right, and then I came back and carried on and stuck all the ones round to the left. So when I cut these triangles, I had to I cut them with scissors, and then I actually then trimmed off a little bit more from each one, so that I could have some gaps in between the triangles. So I wanted some white to show through. I wanted it to be fairly subtle. I didn't want big gaps, just little ones, just so you could see the light shining through the gaps. That's how I did that, and I distressed the edges of all of them as well. I haven't distressed the edges around the edge of the layout, and that's because I'm probably going to need to trim it down a bit. It's going to, when you stick something like this back together, it will never be perfect, so I'm going to have to trim them off. I could then distress the layout as a whole, but in the end decided not to. That's the basics of my layout there. I'm planning to put my two photos in the middle of the central part of the starburst. So on the sketch, the photos are very much in the middle and they're a bit higher. But like I said, a sketch is only a starting point. It's really just there to inspire you, and you can interpret sketches. So I have changed it a little bit by creating this big layer at the top of the sketch, and I'm moving my photos over to the right a little bit instead of being completely central. So I'm mounting my two photos on using journaling cards. So I've used the journaling cards from the Pocket Life kit, and I have chosen a light blue one and a dark blue one, and I'm distressing the edges of those as well, and they're going to go in the middle section of that starburst. They cover up the whole middle bit. I'm just having a think now about the bottom section of the layout. So on the sketch you have a line or an edge part on the bottom, and you have some flowers going out of that. So I'm going to just go through the ephemera and work out which bits might work. Okay, so I've pulled out a couple of cameras, I've pulled out some florals. I really want the florals to be represented on my layout that are on the sketch, so I'm going to pull those through, but I'm not going to have them growing up and on stems. I'm going to have them as larger pieces, cut and layered, kind of poking out from the layer of pattern paper and the washi tape that I have down at the bottom there. So you can see that I've taken two florals and I've cut them in half and layered them there. There's another half piece somewhere that will go on in a minute, and I'm just pulling out the tags. They're from the Stamp Market collection, and they're really lovely, so I've pulled those out and they're going to go behind my photos arranged in some way, and I've got a piece of Vicki Boutin ephemera to the left of the left photo too. So I've just put in the other piece of that other floral on the bottom, and I've just pulled off a black and white sticker from the pink paisley 5th and Monaco collection sticker sheet, and I just tucked those 2 pieces in as well. So I have this nice these nice florals going along the bottom edge of the layout, which is absolutely represented on the sketch. So I've stuck fairly true there. So I'm now going through the Amy Tan ephemera to work out if there's anything that can be used. Even though these are different collections, so I find that with the Vicki Boutin paper, the Vicki Boutin ephemera obviously goes really well. The Amy Tan ephemera is obviously a different collection. However, I find that scrapbook products regularly use similar colours across lots of different lines, and of course these are both by American Crafts. And the blue tones in the Amy Tan collection goes really well with the blue tones in the Vicki Boutin one too. So all good, it all coordinates, doesn't look wrong, even though they're from different collections. I do like mixing collections. It's easy to do so now with scrapbooking collections containing many of the same colours, all different colours as well. They used to have only a few colours, but now have lots of different colours in the collection, so it's easy to kind of mix and match. Okay, so I just had to remove my big cluster. I'm getting my flowers stuck down at the bottom, but I removed my big cluster with my photos because I'm going to go with some machine stitching, and I can't do that while my photos are in place. Okay, so that's all of my machine stitching done. I've used black thread and I've done some straight stitch and some zigzag stitch. So I've added a line of black stitching to each of the starbursts, and I've added some zigzags between 2 of the segments here and there to kind of link them together and to give like a bigger, thicker line of stitching. It gives them more of an impact. That looks really good. I'm really happy with how that's turned out, even in the black. I could have gone white and gone for something more subtle, but I wanted it to show and to be a design feature as opposed to anything else. So yeah, that is looking good. I'm happy with how that looks. So now I'm just doing my photo cluster. So I've already worked out what's going to go in this cluster, so now I just need to stick everything in place. So I have the 2 tags over on the right hand side. They're from the Stamp Market ephemera, and I have a piece of Vicki Boutin ephemera on the left, and I have a piece, a floral piece as well. So a piece of floral ephemera on the left that I have cut in half, and the other half is going to get tucked in on the right hand side as well. So just getting all of those bits stuck in place and secured down, so that then I can add the rest of my embellishments to the layout. So yeah, nearly getting that bit done. I've nearly got my photos completely in place, because once I get to this kind of point where my photos are down, I have a bit of a cluster going on behind them, then I feel that I can just have loads of fun with the embellishments, which is my favourite part of scrapbooking. Okay, so I've pulled out some tabs from the Stamp Market ephemera. They have lots of tabs in the ephemera that are all different colours, so they match all the colours in the collection, of course, and they have different things on them. So I have the yellow one, says favourite, the blue one says this day, sorry, that's the green one, says this day, and the blue one, navy blue one, says right now. So they all work well. These I'm just going through the Amy Tan icon thickers to pull out some bits and phrases and things that go well. So I've pulled out a little grey camera, a arrow that says so funny, and a glitter arrow as well. And then over on the right I have a tiny rainbow, I have a little speech bubble that says love you, and I have a word that says cute. So they all work really well. I've also pulled off a load of the hearts that were on that sheet as well, and I'm kind of layering those up tone on tone or colour on colour along the starburst. So just getting those stuck in place. Over on the right I've also added a sequin flower that is by Maggie Holmes crepe paper Sweet Story. There were 3 in a pack. I've used 2 on a previous layout already. I just used up the last one here. These photos are of my little boy. He is playing with a box of tissues. He does love the tissue boxes. They now all have to be hidden. because if he finds one, he just loves to pull the tissues out of the tissue box one by one and throw them all around the room. So this was him caught in the action of removing the tissues from a tissue box that we had left out. Whoops. So that is what this is about. He loves it. He thinks it's the funniest thing ever. So we have to hide all the tissue boxes. So I have added in a few labels at the bottom right of the photos that say this happened, little stories of everyday life, and the details. They're on the Stamp Market little label sheet. Really lovely set of labels there. And then I've added a piece of Amy Town ephemera on the left that says life is good. So now I'm working on my title, and I've decided to go for Sneeze the Day. I do like a pun in my title. Not sure anyone else finds it funny, but it has me chuckling, and I keep giggling about it every time I look at this layout. So it obviously appeals to my sense of humour. Yeah, for Sneeze the Day. The word sneeze in the foil holographic pen pink foam, thicker bar pink paisley, and then I'm using the word the day from that pink paisley 5th Monaco phrase, puffy phrase. Little stickers there, you can see them there. They have lots of different phrases on, so it was a little bit bad for me to steal the letters from several different phrases to make the words of the day. I think it would need to the messed actually, so I have a few random left over there, but I think it was definitely worth the sacrifice. Just making sure everything is stuck in place. Now that I'm pretty happy with how my illustrations are looking, I can just make everything stuck and finish off with my journaling. So I've written, you love to explore, also known as destroy everything. Nothing is safe. You leave a trail of destruction wherever you go. You find such joy in pulling all the tissues out of a box. Baby wipes too. So that's what I'm just handwriting in at the bottom there. Sorry for the shot of my head. I'm using a really fine tip pen in black so that I can write really tiny, and I'm just linking my photos to the cluster at the bottom with my journaling. So I've added I've gone lots of lines that go from under the photos all the way down to the flowers, so that kind of links the two sections together. So on the sketch there was some mixed media splatters on the bottom right and the top left of the photos, so I have recreated that here just by using some black Indian ink, which I then managed to spill on my work surface, and every time I rubbed it with a tissue it just spread it further, so I'm going to leave that and deal with that after after the video is finished. So now I'm just adding in a few enamel dots. So they are from the Pink Paisley 5th Monaco collection, and I'm only using the black ones. They're really large, round, shiny black dots. They're really awesome. I love them. So I've just added some of those in, and that is me done. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have enjoyed this layout. Don't forget to go and join in the challenge this week over on the Hip Kit Club group on Facebook. And don't forget that if you are a Hip Kit Club subscriber, you receive the main kit at a reduced price. You get 15% discount off all add-on kits, and you get access to exclusive subscriber cut files. So lots of good reasons there to subscribe. Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. That was Niki Ronan for Hip Kit Club. Happy scrapping.